What's crack-a-lackin', everyone? My name is Alex, and I'm super excited to have you here today because I'm going to be answering the question, can you get involved in real estate at 18? Now, if you wait until the end, I'm going to make you wait until the end. If you wait, you will get to see my plan for getting into real estate at 18. I know that kind of spoils the answer to the question, but there you go. It's out there. Boom. So I already mentioned that yes, you can get into real estate at 18 because that's what I plan on doing. But there are some caveats. It's going to be harder and it's going to be an uphill battle because you're not older, and it's because it's harder for people to take you seriously because of your age. But it's okay because it can be done. It just takes a lot of consistency and a lot of discipline and perseverance, but you can do it. Now, with that out of the way, there are lots of different ways you can take it if you want to get into real estate. And the question is kind of vague because there's plenty of different paths you can take. You could be an agent or a broker. You could invest with your own money. You could invest with other people's money. You could be a developer or a flipper or a wholesaler. So obviously there's plenty of different ways you can take this depending on what your risk tolerance is and what you look to see as a reward. Personally, I'm going to be focusing on syndication, but the principles I'm outlining here can really be applied to anywhere you want to take it. So if you want to be an agent, then you can use these to get people to take you seriously and to get an education because it'll work in that direction too. So with that said, there are 5 things to consider if you want to get into real estate at a young age, especially closer to 18. And those things are school, networking, education, because it's not the same thing as school. School is education, but education is not necessarily school. Experience and purpose. Once you have those 5 things down, you can conquer anything. Now, as I already mentioned, either way you go, there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with you and a lot of people who agree with you. So for me, I remember when I decided that I wasn't going to go to college, there was a bunch of people who said, oh, I wouldn't do that. That's not the right decision. And then there was probably an equal amount who said, I understand that. That makes sense. And so it's really up to you and you have to make that decision for yourself. But either way, you have to pursue education. And that's why I separated education into a separate area compared to school, because education and school are not necessarily the same thing. All right, number 2 is networking. Networking is a huge part of getting into real estate, no matter which way you go. If you're an agent, you need to connect with buyers and sellers. If you're an investor, you need to connect with brokers and agents so that you can buy properties. And any other version of real estate that might look for you, you have to connect with people. Real estate as a whole is a trust-based business. More so if you're getting into syndication, because investors want to know that they can trust you with their money. Every aspect of real estate is based on trust and relationships. So you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone. This is something that I have to work on all the time because I am not naturally someone who would like to just walk up to someone and say, hey, can I have money? Or, hey, give me this deal. You have to actively work on building this skill. And that's why networking is such a big part of real estate. All right, number 3 is education. And the reason this one is different from school is because you can educate yourself. Generally, it will be a lot cheaper than if you were to go to college. But obviously there's, wins and losses and things you should do in either one. So with a self-education route, you're going to want to read books, listen to podcasts, find mentors, all those things so that you can get the right inputs so that you know where to go. Education is a very important part, and if you're not constantly learning, you're going to fall behind very quickly. I know for me, when I decided to not go to college and to pursue real estate, after I read Michael Blank's book, I realized I needed to get my knowledge going. So I pursued courses. And one of the really great courses, I think one of the best courses you can possibly buy if you want to get into real estate syndication, is the Dealmaker Certification course, which can be found at dealmakercertification.com. That is one of our products, but it is incredible and it has every single step from A to Z on how to find your deal all the way up to how to close your deal. It is incredible. Number 4 is experience. And out of all the ones I mentioned so far, experience is probably the most difficult to get. And the reason for that is to get experience, you need to do deals. But the problem with that is that to do deals, you need experience. So it's kind of like a loop that you have to break into. So how do you get experience without doing deals? Well, you kind of simulate experience. And it's not lying, it's just making people think you know, which you do know, but you haven't done it before. So this is all accomplished by the education. And that's why education is so important. And that's why I already detailed that. Because to get experience, the simulated experience, you need to have the knowledge so that when you talk, people can sense that you know what you're talking about. If an investor thinks that you don't know what you're talking about, they're not going to give you money. So you have to make it seem like you know what you're talking about. And that's why the education plays into experience and experience plays into deals. Now, another great way to have experience or to show that you have experience is by partnering with someone or working with someone who does have experience. So maybe that's someone who's done a deal before, or a mentor, or just someone who knows more than you. Either way, whether you need experience or not to do a deal, maybe you already have experience, you should get a mentor or someone who's done more than you on your team because they will push you further. But the partnering side of it, if you want to do a deal, partnering is really great if you don't have experience or if you just want to do a bigger deal. Because when you partner with someone who's already accomplished more than you, you can do bigger deals. The funny thing is, if you go to themichaelblanc.com/mentor, you can find a mentorship program that might help you if you're looking to get into real estate syndication. I myself am personally a student of the mentorship program, and so I've been paired up for a year with an experienced syndicator who's going to take me from start to finish of doing my first deal. And if that interests you, you might want to consider joining it. Now, it's not a cheap program, but it is worth every single penny just from my experience so far, and so I would highly recommend it. Now, all that leads me into the fifth thing that you should consider if you want to get into real estate at 18, and that is purpose. Now, what is purpose? Well, purpose is what motivates you. Purpose is what drives you to do better and to do bigger things. Now, purpose cannot be money. Money is not a good motivator. Eventually, you achieve your monetary goals, and then what motivates you past that? Nothing. So you have to have a why in place, something to get you from today to tomorrow without being monetary based. If you don't know why you want to pursue real estate, then you're not going to be consistent, and eventually you're just going to stop pursuing real estate. Someone told me that money is not a reason, it's a result. So keep that in mind. So with those 5 things considered, the answer is absolutely yes, you can get into real estate at 18. All it takes is some consistency and some grit. I was talking to Michael this past week, and on his podcast, he had Grant Cardone last year. And Grant Cardone said the number one key to his success has been consistency. That's not a fun answer. You'd think it might be something special, right? But it was just consistency, and it's kind of boring, but that's what consistency is all about. It's going day in and day out, doing the same things, even when you don't feel like it. So consistency will get you there. As promised, I did not forget, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 steps I'm going to take to achieve my first deal done. Now, the first one, I'm going to work with my mentor consistently and learn as much as possible so that I can get that experience so that I can close my first deal. Number 2 is I'm going to be committing to actions instead of goals. When you commit to an action, if you do that action every single day, you will see fruit from it. But if you commit to a goal and you don't reach the goal, you're going to be discouraged and you might give up. That's not what I want to do. So with that said, I'm going to number 3. And number 3 is taking the consistent daily or weekly action. It is super important to take consistent action rather than sporadic action. If you do something every once in a while, you're not really committing to it. But if you do something every single day, you're going to see something from it. Number 4, I'm going to network with everybody. It is something that I really have to push myself to do, and you might feel the same way, but I have to push myself to do it. So I'm just going to make myself network with everybody. It's a big task and it's a pretty big challenge, but I think that that's something that's super important because, as I already told you, real estate is a very trust-based business, and the only way to build trust is to build relationships. With that, I leave you on number 5. Number 5 is close the first deal. I'm going to close my first deal. That's technically the end of my first process, but that's part of the process, right? You close the deal. All right, with that, I'm going to bid you farewell, but not without first telling you about a couple things that you should know. Number 1, if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe and like the video to tell the algorithm that you want to see more videos. That is a very important part of seeing more videos. Number 2, if you have any video ideas or questions that you'd like answered, leave them in the comments because we will answer them. And number 3, make sure you head over to themichaelblanc.com because there are tons of free and paid resources that we just want to share with you because we want to educate you. So with that said, I've been Alex, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.